What's going on, guys? It's Rest, and in today's video I want to go over my updated Sandhawk Amara build. If you want a build that's going to let you get through everything in the game with ease, this is definitely going to be the build for you. It is a phase grass build based all around using one of the best weapons in the game and having unlimited ammo for it. You can expect to mob and boss insanely well with this and do a bunch of elemental damage thanks to the URAD anoint plus your ASC anoints. So if that interests you, as always, my builds are located in my Discord channel if you would like to download them. The link for the Discord will be in the description. If you download the build and enjoyed the video, find it helpful in any way, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It's free and it's what allows me to keep making videos like this for you guys. But with all that being said, let's get right into this insane build. Alright, so as you see, this is a very simple build. All we're going to be running is 3 Sandhawks, and I have an EMP5 right here for movement speed. But the main part of this build is obviously the Sandhawk with a URAD anoint. All 3 of these have URAD plus its shock, corrosive, and incendiary. Now, another thing I'm going to mention really quick for the Sandhawk is that you're going to want to be looking for semi-auto fire on your Sandhawks, and that is because semi-auto makes dual weapons do more damage. I know it's not as fun as the full auto version, and you can run full auto, but personally I like semi-auto because the damage you get from this is, to me, just better than the full auto, but it's whatever you want to run. So we already know that the Sandhawk is just one of the best weapons in the game. It doesn't really need a lot to make it good, but if you get a URAD anoint plus your preferred fire mode and each of the main elements in the game, it is absolutely going to destroy. Now, the thing that makes this build work is more the gear involved with this instead of the Sandhawks. Obviously the Sandhawk is the weapon you're going to be using for the most time, but to make the most out of the Sandhawk, you got to have the good gear down here. And for gear, you have a Phase Archer right here. Phase Archer is just the best class behind the game for Amara. It's going to give you max rush stacks when you use your axe skill. You get 5 more rush stacks. You get cooldown and weapon damage based on those rush stacks. It is insane for a class mod. Now, this one does have splash damage, sniper rifle damage, and dual weapon critical hit damage, which is insanely good for the Sandhawk, because if you don't know, the Sandhawk does do splash damage. Obviously it's a sniper, and the dual critical hit damage is going to buff if you're fighting against bosses or if you face grasp an enemy. Now, you do not need a god roll for this. The Sandhawk already is insane, but I would recommend trying to get critical hit damage at least if you can, because that helps out a lot for bossing. Now, for the shields, I'm running the Old God. I'm running this because normally Old Gods, you can get very high capacity on them, and you get bonus elemental damage, and you can swap out to whatever element you want to, because you see I have the other 4 over here. The Cup Purse Deathless is going to be your artifact. This is going to be what is carrying you in this build. Obviously the Deathless is getting you to 1 health, so you can proc URAD on your Sandhawks, which is going to let you do an insane amount of damage. But the Cup Purse is actually going to let you get ammo refill whenever you melee an enemy, and since the Sandhawk uses a lot of ammo, the Cut Purse is going to easily let you have infinite ammo with this build for a couple different reasons. But as you see, you're getting more sniper damage, more area of effect damage, and more magazine size. Again, all those are really good for the Sandhawk. You do not need a god roll, but I would recommend getting area of effect damage or maybe even magazine size, because like I said, it chews through ammo. But to negate that, we're going to be running a fish slap right here. And if you don't know what this is a cartel grenade that came out, and essentially it's a grenade that just does melee damage. And I have on axe skill, and you get 50% bonus corrosive damage for 10 seconds. So since this does melee damage, obviously it's going to pair really well with the Cut Purse right here, since melee and refills your ammo. So essentially you can just throw these grenades pretty much everywhere, and they do bounce, which is nice because they're going to bounce and they can hit multiple enemies to give you ammo. And these specifically have singularity on, so they can pull them in and you're going to get more ammo. So you can essentially just always throw these if you need ammo. It's not like a constant thing you have to do over and over again. Like I say it chews through ammo, it definitely does, but you don't have to worry about it too much. But between using the fish slap, the slam, and your melee ability, you're pretty much always going to have ammo for the Sandhawk, and you never have to worry about it. But now getting to the skills, I'm going to start in Brawl, and I'm specifically going to start with Find Your Center right here, because this is going to allow you to have that ammo back even more. So if you don't know what this does, essentially when you use your action skill, you're going to get more melee damage and range. But the main thing is when you use your action skill, you basically get what seems like more attack speed. So you start using your arms on Amara, I guess, and you can start meleeing really quick, which is going to return let you get ammo back really, really fast. So between, like I said, the slam grenade and this skill, you don't really have to ever worry about ammo. Just occasionally make sure you're meleeing an enemy with one of those 3 things and you'll be fine. But I have 3 points of personal space, so the closer you are to an enemy, we get 54% more damage. This is really good. Just generally one of Amara's best skills for 3 points. It has a huge radius, and you're always just getting bonus damage. I have 1 point Root to Rise and 1 point Clarity because I have to get down to the bottom to get to Find Your Center, but they're not going to really do anything. But I have 5 points in Help and Hand, so when we use our action skill, we're getting 40% damage reduction, which is really nice. Since we have 100,000 shield with our old god, we're going to have 40% of that damage reduced, and it's going to make the survivability of this build even better. But I have 5 points in Arms Deal to get 20% more splash damage and 40% splash damage reduction. Again, really good. More splash damage for the Sandhawk is nice, and the splash damage reduction lets you survive a little bit more. Now, another main part of the skill tree is Blight Tiger. Since we have this many skill points, we have access to it, so we can swap this out for doing something like the takedown or just anything that's good against corrosive. You can put this on instead of running another element. Now, going into Mystical Assault, I have 5 points to do harm because if you don't know, this is actually going to buff Ties Divine, and we're going to be running Ties Divine. This is going to buff its chain link damage, so when we phase grass to an enemy, it's going to just do an absurd amount of damage, especially paired with the Phase Circuit. You can stack these up really fast, and you could just absolutely slay a whole group of enemies with one shot from the Sandhawk. Now, I have 3 points of Fast Hand, so we get more reload speed, weapon swap speed, and mode switch speed. All these are actually really good. If you want to swap between modes, you can. Reload speed is obviously just good in general, and then mode switch speed if you want to swap between different elements. 1 point in Violent Tapestry because I got to get down to the bottom, but this is going to help keep your rush stacks up. 3 points of Transcend, so we get more accuracy and critical hit damage, which is really nice. This is insanely good for bossing. This is insanely good for just general play, and is definitely one of Amara's best skills just for 3 points. Not only is it actually going to tighten your spread up on the Sandhawk to make it easier to hit those crits, you're in return getting more of that crit damage. But now I have 2 points in Alacrity because I have to get down to the bottom, but this is actually good too because based on the amount of rush stacks you have, you're getting more reload speed, and pairing that with Fast Hands, you're actually going to get a decent amount of reload speed, which is going to help your DPS increase with the Sandhawk. 1 point Ascendant, so we can buff whatever armor we're using. Personally, when I'm running a sniper build, I like to run Stillness of Mind. It just makes enemies get locked in the air, and it makes them super easy to kill. You get more cooldown, but it doesn't really matter with Topped Off and Phase Zerker, and the minus damage you get from it, again, doesn't really matter with the fact that you're going to have 99 stacks of 2 harm, and they're going to be running things like Late Bear to get 25% increased damage, and this is also going to increase that chain link damage. So now when you phase grass an enemy, everything's chained, 2 harm is increasing the damage, and this is increasing damage. And not to mention, Lay Bear is also good for bossing, so you can swap to something like Phase Cast, hit them with that, they're going to take 25% more damage, and you're going to have 2 stacks of Transcend to get that bonus crit. But now 3 points in Wrath, so we get 20% more gun damage and 20% more after we hop an action skill. Really good. 3 points in Awakening, so we can buff all our rush stack effectiveness, so that means even more damage. 1 point in Remnant, so whenever we kill an enemy, we're going to spawn an Overkill Orb that's going to seek out an enemy and kill them. This is basically going to always one-shot an enemy with the amount of damage that Sandhawk is doing, which is absolutely crazy. And then finally, to round all this out, 1 point in Avatar, so we can get things like 2 stacks of Transcend, we can have 2 Phase Grass with Stillness of Mind, and we can just absolutely control the battlefield and kill everything that comes in our way. But now in the final skill tree, I'm taking 3 points in Steady Hands, so we get more handling and more accuracy. Really good for the Sandhawk. Handling is going to let you just play the game better, and accuracy again is going to keep that spread tightened. Now I have 2 points in Animal, which is getting buffed for with our class mod because I need to get down to the bottom. You don't really want to take Infusion with this build since you're going to have access to all 3 of the main elements, so that is why I opted to put 2 points in Anima. And I don't really want to max this out either because Anima kills you most of the time than actually helping you. But 5 points is Tempest, so we get bonus elemental damage of 20% more shock damage. Really good. Just bonus damage is always nice. 5 points on Wildfire. This is actually going to give you a 40% spread chance. This is going to allow you to help proc things like Harmageddon. And if you don't know what Harmageddon is, it is essentially a Guardian rank skill over here where enemies take 5% more damage per unique status effect affecting them. If you're spreading the elements to all these other enemies, they're going to be starting to stack Harmageddon up, and obviously with this build, you're going to do a lot of elemental damage. You have things like your base element on your sniper, your URAD, your 2 ASE anoints, and with all that together spreading, you're going to have like a 20% damage increase depending on whatever elements that you're using. So another thing I am going to go over really quick since I'm over here in Guardian rank is Groundbreaker. So what this does, basically over 5 seconds, whatever damage you do that's non-melee damage is actually going to stack up and do 25% of that as melee damage. So since the Sandhawk does an insane amount of damage really quick, you're pretty much going to be able to just one-shot enemies with the Groundbreaker with this build, or even with the Fish Slap. It is absolutely insane, and not only is this good for just killing the enemy, if you remember with the Cut Purse, you're also going to be regenerating ammo while you do that. Now, getting back into the skill tree, we're putting 1 point dread, so we get a phase grasp out, we're going to do 15% more damage to them, and we get our guns instantly reloaded when we kill an enemy. That's very, very nice. 1 point deep well, so we get 20% more magazine size based on our elemental weapons. All our weapons are elemental, so more magazine size, which is really nice with the Sandhawk. 3 points indiscriminate, so all the bullets can ricochet. This is going to help even more with the ad clear of this build. Now finally, 1 point catharsis. This actually does scale with Mayhem, so if you get this thing procced near an enemy, it will absolutely destroy an enemy. And not only that, it also can start spreading its elements again to get those points in Armageddon going. Now I will say with the class mod, we have 3 points in conflict, so you have a 21% chance to apply a random status effect to an enemy. It can be electrocute, ignite, or melt, and this can apply that 5th element for Armageddon. So you're getting 25% more damage, you're spreading them around, everybody's getting that 25% more damage, and you can absolutely destroy with all this synergy. So that's going to do it for the updated Sandhawk Amara build. This is by far one of the best builds in the game. You're essentially just taking Phase Grasp, which is arguably the best axe skill in the game, pairing it with Ties That Bind, and putting a Sandhawk in there, and you can expect to absolutely destroy everything. For bossing, I would definitely swap to Phase Cast, even though you don't have a Phase Cast node on your weapon. This is going to easily let you get those 2 Transcend procs and proc Laybear on whatever boss you're fighting. And a final tip I'll give is, like I said in the beginning, always make sure to be wary of your ammo. It's not a huge problem, but if you're not throwing your grenade or punching an enemy or two with Groundbreaker, you're 100% gonna run out of ammo, and you just have to be wary of that. But if you are, expect to have unlimited ammo for the Sandhawk and just an insane amount of damage. But that's gonna do all for me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the build. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Try to bait, run away, don't go. I'm in hell, might as well just go. Losing track, don't take my soul. I'm in first, you too late, you slow.